Ever witnessed courtroom drama that's straight out of a movie? Judges, lawyers, and defendants pushing the limits like never before. Ready for the most outrageous courtroom moments of all time? Let's find out. John C. Murphy. Can you believe a judge and a public defender almost came to blows in a courtroom? It's 2014, and there's a heated exchange unfolding in a Florida courtroom. Judge John C. Murphy and Assistant Public Defender Andrew Weinstock are in the thick of it. The bone of contention? Weinstock's firm stands against waiving his client's right to a speedy trial. As the tension mounts, Murphy's patience wears thin. In a moment that would make any wrestling fan perk up, he throws down a challenge straight out of a wrestling ring. If you want to fight, let's just go out back and I'll beat your A*****. Now, who expects that in a court of law? Off they go, out of the camera's view, into a hallway. The courtroom, buzzing with anticipation, can hear the commotion, taunts, shouts, and what sounds like a physical scuffle. Judge Murphy returns to his bench. The courtroom erupts in applause, but Weinstock, he's nowhere to be seen. The aftermath of this bizarre courtroom drama? Murphy reportedly took a leave of absence and sought anger management counseling. This incident sure left public defenders around the state with something to think about. Peter Haer. An unusual scene from 2008, public defender Doug Crickmer doing his job in a courtroom representing Peter Haer, a prisoner facing burglary charges from a Kmart robbery. As Crickmer stands there making his case, he's blissfully unaware of what's about to happen. Out of the blue, Haer, clearly dissatisfied with Crickmer's efforts, delivers a shocking sucker punch to him. The courtroom gasps as Haer continues his attack on Crickmer, who's now on the ground, before others intervene. You might think Crickmer would be furious, right? Surprisingly, he keeps his cool. He doesn't press charges against Haer for the assault. Haer gets 6 more months in jail for contempt, and if that wasn't enough to question Hafer's character, he later pleads guilty to possession of stolen firearms in 2010 and even becomes a suspect in a murder case in 2017. Penelope SoDo. In a Miami courtroom in 2013, where Judge Jorge Rodriguez Chomat, known for his no-nonsense attitude, is presiding. Enter Penelope SoDo, an 18-year-old facing charges for Xanax possession. She's not taking things seriously at all. Laughing, being dismissive, the works. Judge Rodriguez Chomat, trying to maintain order, sets her bail at $5,000. But here's where it gets interesting. As SoDo leaves, she casually tosses an adios over her shoulder. Too casual for Judge Rodriguez Chomat's taste. He immediately doubles her bail to $10,000. Can you believe that? And SoDo's response? She flips him off and throws a profanity his way. Judge adds a 30-day jail sentence for contempt. Fast forward a few days and there's a different scene in the courtroom. A tearful SoDo is back, this time apologizing to Judge Rodriguez Chomat. She admits to taking Xanax on the day of her arrest. The judge, perhaps seeing a learning moment, accepts her apology. Roland Frer. In the dark times of Nazi Germany, among the many infamous figures, stood Roland Frer, the president of the People's Court. Starting in 1942, he presided over some of the most chilling trials, known for his aggressive and often psychologically torturous methods. One of Freisl's most notorious moments came during the show trials of 1944. This was no ordinary court proceeding. It was a trial for those who dared to plot the assassination of Adolf Hitler. Frer, loud and overbearing, berating and belittling Schwerin, a man who had bravely conspired against Hitler. Despite Freisl's fury, there stood Schwerin. His composure under such pressure was nothing short of heroic. His stance was as if to say, "I stand by what I did, no matter the consequence." Ultimately, Schwerin was sentenced to death by hanging. But what of Frer, the judge who seemed larger than life in his own brutal way? History has a sense of irony, but Frer met his end in 1945 during a bombing raid. On the very day he was to preside over the trial of Fabian von Schlabrendorf, another member of the assassination plot, he was killed. In a twist of fate, he was crushed under a beam, still clutching Schlabrendorf's file. Frer, who had once asked if Schwerin was cracking under his own villainy, met an end as dramatic as the trials he conducted. Larry Nassar. In early 2018, during a gripping courtroom drama involving Randall Margraves, the father of 3 daughters who were victims of abuse by Larry Nassar, a former doctor for the U.S. gymnastics team. The tension in the courtroom was palpable as 2 of Margraves' daughters bravely gave their emotionally charged statements. Nassar, sitting there shaking his head, added fuel to the already blazing fire of emotions. Margraves, a father pushed to the edge, made a request to the judge that was both unusual and heartbreaking. He asked for 5 minutes in a locked room with Nassar. Predictably, the judge refused. Margraves, not giving up, lowered his request to 1 minute, still denied. Overwhelmed with emotion and a sense of injustice, he lunged at Nassar. only to be quickly restrained and detained by security. Later, as reported by CNN, Margraves faced the judge again, this time handcuffed. In a moment of humility and regret, he apologized, expressing his embarrassment. Judge Janice Cunningham, showing empathy and understanding the depth of his pain, decided not to punish him, but reminded him that vigilante actions have no place in the courtroom. Nassar, who had committed horrific acts of abuse against more than 150 young women over 2 decades, faced a significant sentence. Judge Rosemary Aquilina, while sentencing him to 40 to 175 years in prison, did not hide her contempt, effectively saying that she had signed his death warrant. Michael Madison. In Ohio, 2016. Van Terry, a father engulfed in grief, was there to speak about his daughter, Sherelda, who had tragically become one of the victims of serial killer Michael Madison. As Terry stood at the podium, pouring out his heartache and loss, something extraordinary happened. Halfway through his statement, Terry turned to look at Madison, the man responsible for his unimaginable pain. According to CBS News, at that very moment, Terry saw Madison smirking at him. Overwhelmed by a surge of emotion and fueled by the sight of that smirk, Terry made a sudden dramatic leap across the table, trying to reach Madison. The courtroom erupted into chaos, with people shouting and scrambling to restore order as Terry was swiftly pulled away from the killer. Later, speaking to Fox 8, Terry explained the unbearable provocation of seeing that smirk on Madison's face, on top of everything else he had done. Madison, found guilty of the torture and murder of 3 women, including Terry's daughter, was sentenced to death for his crimes. Sidney Newsom. In the otherwise orderly Pike County Justice Court in Mississippi, Sidney Newsom's court appearance turned into an unforgettable scene. There he was, Sidney Newsom, standing in chains, seemingly composed as he awaited judgment on a domestic violence charge under the watchful eye of Southern District Judge Aubrey Rimes. The day started like any other in court. Newsom, reviewing some documents, even showed a moment of lightness with a brief dance. However, the entry of his mother and brother shifted the atmosphere. Newsom's mood visibly changed, agitation setting in, though it wasn't clear why. The officer present, picking up on the tension, quickly advised Newsom's family to be seated. But it was after Newsom handed over the signed papers to Judge Rimes that things really escalated. Dropping his earlier calm demeanor, Newsom got into a heated argument with the judge. In a shocking display of disrespect, he threw a stack of papers at Judge Rimes. The courtroom gasped in disbelief, including his own mother. Then, the situation spiraled. Newsom overcame the officer, grabbed a phone, and hurled it at the judge, knocking over a computer in his fury. In an unexpected turn, Judge Rimes tackled Newsom onto the desk. Amidst this chaos, Newsom's brother leaped in, though it was unclear if he was trying to help Newsom or the judge. Newsom's actions had serious repercussions. For his contempt of court, he received an additional 48 hours in jail. Alan McCarty, 36, from Santa Rosa County, Florida, faced trial for threatening Judge Stasia Warren over a custody decision. His courtroom behavior? Far from typical. He didn't just shout and interrupt, he hurled insults, especially at Judge Foxman. They had to move McCarty to a different room with a one-way mirror. But did that stop him? No way. His frustrated screams still filled the courtroom. The jury? They weren't swayed by his antics. In just 30 minutes, they found him guilty on all counts. McCarty could face up to 40 years in prison. Remarkable was the patience of everyone in the courtroom, from the judge to the deputies. McCarty's defense tried to play down his threats as emotional, tied to the custody fight. Get this, McCarty wore an electric belt for security. As things wrapped up, he announced plans to press charges against Judge Foxman over a past threat. From shocking outbursts to unbelievable defiance, these courtroom moments left us speechless. Which one shocked you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.